My name's Dave DeBoe, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminski, filling in for Dave DeBoe. And have you ever wondered what it takes to really get started in real estate, but stay in real estate consistently with a vision for the future? Today, I have I guess you'd call it aspiring for change doctor here who's using both his medical involvement and his real estate involvement to affect change in his local market and in surrounding areas. So do you want to go by, it showed up as Eric. Do you want to be EJ or Eric?
Eric is my birth name. I go by EJ. Either way is fine with me. And little correction, I'm a nurse, anesthesiologist.
That's
a little better
is.
than a doctor. We are healthcare's best kept secret.
Mm-hmm.
We put in the epidurals and put you to sleep for surgery in the US. I don't think you have those in Canada, though.
Yeah, we do that for like wisdom teeth and
right.
Like if you want to be under, you pay. That's the part that's not covered. So
that's
you
right.
pay for that, but people are like, put me out, take all 4 wisdom teeth. I'm on my way. So we're gonna touch in on how you're connecting the two. We talked a little bit before the show about that, but let's take it right to the beginning. And how did you get started in real estate? What got you involved? What got you excited?
What got me involved and excited is actually my wife and I bought our first house, and across the street there was a foreclosed home owned by Fannie Mae, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was an eyesore, and so I started calling the city about it, and eventually an investor came in and swooped it up. And over the next year, he was very friendly. I started talking to him, Nate Barger. He's one of my coaches now. And what he told me about is he told me about the power of investing in real estate. And this guy rolled up in a Bentley, a Lambo, all these different things, and he showed me the cash savings and the tax implications. And so it was pretty familiar. And in my heart, I'm like, this is amazing. This guy took 130,000, 30,000 for the property, 100,000 in a year, and turned a property into $550,000, cashed out, refinanced it, didn't pay any taxes on the value that he created, and he still owns it and has tenants in there. And I said, this guy's smart. Why can't I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And so that really opened up my mind from like a W-2 mentality. My dad was a truck driver, hard worker, stay-at-home mom. You just go to work, be a good citizen. And I realized there's a whole nother system and way of thinking out there, and I need to explore this. And so that was what started me down the path about 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because the W-2 mentality is, not everyone can be a real estate investor. If everyone's a real estate investor, then it kind of unbalances the thing. But I think what keeps people out of it is like the risk factor. He could have bought that thing and could have done a bunch of work.
That's
and
right.
The bank could have said, oh, it's only worth 250, and it wouldn't have been such a story. But, when you win, it's a great story. Even if you don't, over time, buy and hold stuff does usually like correct itself. So, interesting that they're now one of your mentors. Was that right away, or just by happenstance over time came back around?
Oh, just years down the road, very accessible, very friendly, stops by. Every time I see him outside, I'll go talk to him. And eventually, I think they were having so much success and they wanted to give back. They started a few programs. And this last December, I joined that program. But since then, I'd always been in contact with them and already had made motion in that direction, and realized as I had some personal success, I needed to continue to grow and have some sophistication, which they had already developed the programs and everything for that. So using their programs to accelerate my journey a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes I wish that part of the math classes in high school had a little bit like, this is housing, this is how
Right.
how things are worth and valuated, and like because it's a core thing, you know, and I always say that to people who maybe are on the fence about getting into some sort of training program. It's like, look, let's say you took training and you didn't actually end up buying a rental property or whatever. You're still going to do far better on your next house purchase, and
That's
you're
right.
going to understand, and you're going to, you know, be able to get a better deal, because it's not like we're always going to be dealing with housing in our entire lives. And it's one of
Always.
those things, all they'd really taught us in high school was, here's the mortgage table, this is how you pay it, get one, and
Right.
this is how it's calculated, so you know if you're getting ripped off or not. And that was the extent of like housing training that we got in the schooling system. And so what was the biggest thing that kind of opened your eyes once you started training on this? Because you were looking at it going like, it's interesting you said this is a smart guy, why can't I be doing that? And what's interesting about real estate, and you know, I found right away is like anyone can do this, but it does take like a baseline understanding. Like you will hurt yourself if you don't at least get educated to some degree. So what was the biggest eye opener when you started educating yourself on this stuff?
Right. So I had started down the journey. I had done some fix and flips before the program. Did made money on that, not as well as I thought I would do, not as
Mm-hmm.
quick as I thought I would do it. Then I had a single family I bought and then sold that and then scaled up into an LP position. And that kind of opened my eyes to the syndication world. And then also had a duplex and have done really well on that. And then bought a 6 unit in the fall. And I was actually reading the book, The 80/20 Principle, and really,
Mm-hmm.
which is, where do 80% of your results come from? It's usually the 20% of your life, the
Mm-hmm.
20% of your time. And as I was evaluating, I said, this is real estate. Before I knew it, I was a $2 million, portfolio. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, okay, I need to really focus in on this. And then I joined the course. And what they provide is they provide the overview educational piece, which is great, the tools, the hotel, apartment analyzers,
Mm-hmm.
all the paperwork for syndications and the the legal partnerships with the syndication. And one
Yeah.
of the things that's been the most helpful is it also provides 16 coaching calls. And so I set that up about every other week, and my coach touches base on what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do? Even this last week, she said, you need to master underwriting. So
Yeah.
every day now you need to spend time to do that. And she referred me to the book, The 12-Week Year.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm applying those principles to, in the next 12 weeks, become an expert at underwriting multifamily apartments. So I would say the education and then also this accountability program that has been built in.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too, from someone like I've coached people into real estate and also have been coached in real estate and in other things like mindset and different programs. I think the biggest thing too is that especially when you get that one-on-one touch, is that you're getting what you need when you need it. You're
Right.
like, okay, this week and then next time we're going to talk about this, and but don't worry about that, just do this, become an expert of underwriting, and then once you're mastered that, we can talk about something else. But until then, we're just going to do that. And so I think, yeah, if your future, as you're, you know, becoming more involved in syndication, underwriting is going to be huge, because that's one of the things that I think people gloss over. They're like, yeah, I did the underwriting. Okay, well, did you? Did you do it to the best of your abilities? Do you even know what that is? Did you just plunk it into the calculator and thought it was okay? Oh, it's all
Right.
good now. So, what would you say your biggest challenges has been since you started to where you are today?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge is this idea of scaling. As a nurse, as an anesthetist in the healthcare, I gravitate that way because I'm very empathetic. And so to find a empathetic goal that aligns with who I am, in order to really push myself, I'm very dedicated, very intense in my pursuits as long as I have the proper goal. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I found that. I have been experiencing personally and have a lot of coworkers in the healthcare field that experience burnout. And so a big fuel for my fire is to take care of the healers. So I always say I want to heal the healers, give them
Mm-hmm.
time. to be able to take time off, uh, de-stress, get over some of the trauma that we see in the healthcare field.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, they have to have income, right, and net worth. And the best way to do that, I think, is through real estate from all the different areas I've looked at.
Mm-hmm.
So that because yeah, so having a goal, a meaningful why, has allowed me to push through fears. The W-2 mindset, the mindset of you're not good enough, and every time I hear that mindset, I text my coach or I realize I need to do two things. I need to educate myself to overcome fear,
Mm-hmm.
and then I need to take an action so that you don't backtrack or you don't stand still. So just by doing little things like that, okay, that thought comes up. Okay, uh, I'm gonna sit down for half an hour and underwrite. I'm gonna watch another underwriting module. I'm gonna reach out to an investor. I'm gonna reach out to another syndicator. And every time that happens, I feel like that old mindset just slowly is diminishing, and there's a new mindset that is being developed.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I always look at is like when let's say I'm trying to become like yourself, more proficient with multifamily buildings. The modules are great, but I always go out there and I find someone who is doing that. So like
Awesome.
you're maxing out on underwriting. Maybe your coach can connect you with someone who's ahead of you to pick their brain and network. Because what
Yeah.
I've found, I've been in this now a decade of doing real estate, and early on, networking wasn't even, I was just like a solo guy out here in the trenches, knocking on doors, getting deals, but it was always a bubble. And when I started looking and saying, networking is actually what I'm doing, the deals are some as a part of the way I monetize my network. So when
Wow.
I moved
Yeah.
networking to the top and I moved all of the activities underneath networking, that's when I realized that the funnel could be a lot bigger. And that's only in the last, 12, 18 months. So when you look at all the things you're doing, what do you think your unfair advantage is? What comes easy to you that other people find difficult to do?
Um, I can take calculated risks, and I feel like I have people that started at the same time as me, and just recently talked to one, and they have $50,000 sitting there, and I said, "Why don't you? I mean, we make enough. You could afford to lose that. Why not do it?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "I like it sitting there. I'm not going to do anything." And I realized if you can take a calculated risk and you can move forward, that actually it accelerates your learning. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to overcome that paralysis, because if not, I've heard stories of people who, a lot of people I talk to that are maybe in their 50s or 60s. They're like, "Oh, I wish I would have gotten into that when I was your age."
Yep.
And I was like, "Well, you probably thought about it and you didn't move on it." And so I think that's my advantage. I'm a little bit on the bold personality side. So,
Yeah. And that's one thing that I always, whenever I'm training people, I always try to bring that fearless mentality. Because one thing that really struck, my mentor, he came back from a vacation and his big epiphany, he was like, fear doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, of course it does. And he says, it's not fear, it's the unknown exists. So as
yeah,
soon as you
that's
get
right.
rid of the unknown, the fear, it's like, oh, how cold is the water? What if I jump in the lake and it's cold? Well, how cold is it? Oh, it's actually warm. Not a big deal. But the unknown of the
Right.
temperature keeps you from jumping in. And so sometimes you just got to jump in and, like maybe you don't have a lot of time, but you want to jump in, it's going to be fun. What's the worst? You're going to get wet. Jump in the lake, right? So when you look at that fearless mentality as you move forward, what does the next 12 months look like for you?
Next 12 months, what it looks like to me is right. Obviously, in this course, I have some goals. I would like to purchase anywhere from 2 to 4 million in real estate, multifamily with the 12 to 18% internal rate of return and an equity multiplier of 2.5 to 3. And this year is going to be a great year for that because what's the stat? Is it like in the United States? I think it's 26 billion in multifamily and hotel le- leverage is up. People have to refinance,
Yeah.
and the rates are higher. and it looks like there's going to be a lot of defaults. So what that looks like is a lot of problems that can be solved to solve their problem, to solve the bank's problem, and then also to solve me and my coworkers' problem of burnout. So there's a great opportunity, especially this year. So I'm looking forward to that.
So what would you say when looking forward is the biggest obstacle of pulling that off?
Well, capital raising, it's you can get a lot. Um, you can get a lot of funds, maybe soft committed, which they say they'll
Hmm.
do it, and then when it comes to firing the trigger, this happens or that happens, which is understandable, totally understandable. But these opportunities don't come around all the time, and this is the point in the cycle where it's time to do it. So the obstacle will be helping other people see the opportunity that this year affords.
Hmm. I always, we've been talking a lot about this over the last, since probably about when the market started shifting. So probably
Yeah,
2022.
right.
And it was easy to be competitive with the players in the marketplace because there's lots to play on, right? This deal, that deal, whatever. And then I came to the realization that it's actually the market. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So how can we work against the
Yeah,
marketplace and not
right.
each other in this upcoming thing? Because there's going to be people defaulting all over the place. And maybe it's not that we're going to short sale it or scrape it out or end up acquiring it in a sideways way. How can we work with these people and come to solutions where it's both beneficial to the person selling so that they feel okay about selling it, and also to get um get you into the deal or your partners into the deal, right? And so what are some ways that you guys are, working with sellers as a group or maybe in your training to help these people with this upcoming refinance season?
That's right. So we need to find the sellers first. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're a seller, find me. We've got a group with 2 billion of assets under management, 5,000 plus hotel and apartment units. There's several different ways. One, we could come in as a joint venture. We can come in and assume loans. We've assumed loans. A lot of times that's really nice because that takes away the responsibility on that person. And even
Mm-hmm.
we come in, and if the numbers are right and we see the future, we can come in and give you even a little capital along with assuming your loan to make it fair and equitable for everyone involved. So we really want to, and there's all sorts of options. Actually, this is what's fun about real estate is we solve problems through creativity. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's seller financing, there's joint ventures, there's assuming loans, all sorts of opportunities that, of course, can help someone out, that's in this, you know, problem, right? The loan's not going to perform, or maybe they're not in a place to refinance that loan. So I hope everybody can win. It should be a win-win-win. Everybody can win in this market.
Yeah. I mean, and it's happening even in residential singles.
Yeah.
People are having challenges. They bought that, let's say they're in one of these places like Maryland or in Washington, and the property value is like 750, and they had a 2% mortgage, and it's been 3 or 5 years, whatever the term. Now they have to come in at 7%, and now it's like, okay, maybe we have to get rid of that car payment to
Right.
offset this mortgage payment, which, I mean, I think that's part of owning property is just debt service. But when you look at, because let's say there's always capital, there's tons of capital, there's always deals, and then there's the people, us, that are making these things happen. What is, as far as getting more capital, what are some things that you're doing to get more investors on board to participate in this future acquisition?
Well, obviously, everybody. The first rule: you don't lose money. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
feels that way. I'm trying to educate. I think I mentioned earlier, my friend. I
Mm-hmm.
tried to educate them. Actually, if you have money in your bank account, you're losing money every year. Uh, your
It's,
dollar is worth,
I had an investor, he teaches other people's money. And I was watching his presentation. And he says, when you retire, you can't eat your windows and your doors. So refinance and get the money to
yeah.
work.
Yeah, that's true. I heard Grant Cardone talk about there's like 3 trillion in equity in real estate in the United States from all those things, and he said you have no idea what we could do here if we had that equity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
So
so it's totally true. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, with all the things that are going on, what's one thing that you're doing to kind of expand your network of prospective investors?
Yeah, so building out, I've never done this. You don't know Midwesterners in the United States, but we're very private people. So
Like a Canadian.
pot,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You don't want to. There was just a meme or something somebody sent me is one of our like features is we don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. So like I have this deal. If you don't want to invest in it, it's fine. But
Yeah,
I
you're
have to
always giving a
also
caveat at the end. Yeah, no, no, yeah.
no, yeah, 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 no, no. But it's really I- I'm learning how to not sell it, but show them the opportunity and show them the opportunity cost. So, we talked about the money being in the bank, you lose money. You know how much you earn in the stock market? I don't know, the US stock market. If you make 7 to 10%, you lose 3% a year on average to inflation.
Brokerages. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
don't forget about this. Don't forget about taxes. You're going to
Hmm.
lose another right in Canada, it's even more, another three to
Yeah.
four percent. So what you're actually making in the market is like 1 to 4%. That's
Hmm.
not going to do it. It's it's not going to do it, and you're not going to have a great life after you decide to stop working or you can't work anymore. And so real
Everyone's
estate,
hoping for that
yeah,
Apple stock or that Tesla stock, and the reality is for most people, that's just not going to happen. Maybe if they
right,
bought 30 years ago and then sat around on it, but if you really want fast appreciation of your capital,
yeah,
if you want lift, manufacturing value, forced
that's right,
appreciation, there's really no other market that has as many decimal places behind it with the type of financing. I would always say if you're thinking about real estate investing, people will finance deals, but they will not finance your education. So your
that's right,
50K is probably better spent on your education
that's
because
right,
then you
that's
can
true,
go out there and raise the capital because there's no shortage of capital that's looking for good deals. But there is a shortage for people to finance your education. They're not like, oh yeah, I'll put $20,000 on Eric to get him educated in real estate. No,
right,
they want him to come already educated
that's
and
right.
bring the deals. So when you're looking for deals, are you a find the deal and then the money sort of guy, or do you prefer to have the money kind of lined up and then go looking for deals?
Both, both. So right now, yeah, I have anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million lined up soft commits, and I'm searching for a deal. I'm looking for the right deal, for the deal that makes sense. We just had one fall through because of 20-year-old painted windows in a 1926 facility. It was going to be a great property, but the insurance wouldn't insure it,
Mm,
and the cost to get those kind of cut into the deal. Um, so that's really what I'm looking forward to, is to do both of those and to partner with people, especially that can execute the add value portion. So in each market, there's different opportunities. In Cincinnati, everything's old. It's all
hmm.
old here. Old
It's all in the
wiring,
Rust Belt, all along
old plaster.
the
So
Rust
that has
Belt.
its own unique challenges. So the ad values are a little different. So you have to have someone with a specialty there. And then the Sun Belt, right, has
Typically,
just been
asbestos remediation is the 100-year-old houses. We have the same up here in Manitoba. Everything, practically 80% of the city is built prior to like 1920 because we had a
right.
boom and then kind of a bust. So when I went down to Cleveland, when I was in Ohio, looking at all the different things along the lake, it was the same thing. It's just more bricks than we just don't build with bricks, and they loved it. They just built everything with this red brick. But it was 100-year-old houses, knob and tube, asbestos,
Yep.
old windows, single pane, wood windows. And It's nothing you can't do, but it's got to make sense when it
Right.
comes down to the underwriting, like buy, reno, repair, refinance. Does it make
That's
sense?
right.
Okay, let's get some people on board for this thing. So when you're presenting deals, are you presenting nowadays more from a group perspective, or is it like invest in this deal, or is it an invest with Eric type of situation when you're doing your presentations now?
It's both. It just depends on through the mastermind that I'm a part of. I find a lot of deals through there, and sometimes it's like, okay, great. I didn't have to find this. I didn't have to calculate it out. I believe in all the math. I re-verified it, and then I just bring people to that deal. And especially what I'm really trying to do is vet the operators. So the people in the
Mm-hmm.
group that I can trust, I feel very confident to bring people to them. And so then it's a great opportunity for myself. Sometimes they'll allow me to get a portion of the GP with that. And then it's a great opportunity for the people that choose to invest with me.
Yeah, the general partner can make or break these deals, especially when it comes
Yeah,
down to how long it takes to turn it around, stabilization, reporting, management, all that stuff. Like it's the LP, the money, yes, that's like the gas in the car, but the driver can totally wreck that thing just right off the road into a tree. Oh, this thing that was on the road would have been a great deal. Suddenly, it's in the ditch and it's upside down, and you got to pull it out, and now you got to get more money to the deal, and it could go either way. But really vetting that driver, that GP that's going to take that thing to the finish line and get you your stabilization and your refinance. So, typically when people are investing significant capital, they have to like, know, and trust you. That's the
that's right.
framework. So, what are some things you're doing to kind of present yourself that way, whether it's social media or newsletters or things like this podcast? How are you building that relationship with your investors?
Yeah, so I'm trying to build a very grassroots Instagram page that kind of talks about my journey as I go through it. I'll post a video, post this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just did something scary today. I'm trying new things. We're learning new things. This is where we're at in the process. Talked about my coaching, my development, my training every day for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I have to post a video on a deal that fell through because I want people to really see me and to understand me and to trust me, so that I can bring them, forward to all these opportunities. Educating myself. I'm in these mastermind classes. I'm going to sign up for some more underwriting courses. Uh, and then realizing as I go through this, I have more skills that I need to build.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surrounding myself, like we talked about, network. I'm surrounding myself with people that I would like to become like.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
That's
they're
a big
and they're the
thing.
same people that are they've got the next tier up too. So I'm being coached by people who are being coached.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's what you want, right? I always say to people that even yourself, you should be reaching up and being coached, and you should be reaching down and coaching, because there's always someone further behind us, and there's always someone further along than us that can help us out in that mentor mentee relationship. Um, One thing that was huge for me was how to win friends and influence people. The
Oh
mechanics
yeah.
of
Yes.
not, I always say that book should be called How to Not Alienate People and Lose Friendships, because really it's fundamental stuff like that the human nature of maybe today's current society is really not about. People are really interested in talking about themselves as opposed to getting
Right.
curious as to what the investor, like let's say your investor's talking to you and you're starting to talk about yourself. It's like, okay, was this meeting about you or me, or what is this about?
Right.
So that book was really helpful when it came down to the human nature of things, because this is primarily the human nature business. The numbers, we can find someone to ultimately underwrite it, but to be good with people, I think that's a universal skill. So on that note,
Wonderful.
if people want to find out more about you, they want to connect with you, what should they do? How do they find you?
Yeah, the Instagram handle's probably the best. It's at thrive.rei. We have investor forums there. You can sign up there. I'm working on sending out biweekly emails,
Mm-hmm.
education pieces, opportunities that we're looking at, what's going on in our personal life and our learning life. We have Thrive Real Estate Investment on Facebook, and then also on LinkedIn as well. So you'll see
Nice.
some videos of me there. Grainy, grassroots kind of, but I like that because that's my roots. My dad's a
Mm-hmm.
truck driver. My mom stay at home. I'm small town Ohio, third generation American,
There you
and
go.
trying to be true to who I am while also progressing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Eric, I really appreciate you stopping by. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.